My name is Jeff Morgan. I am from Dallas, Texas, and I want to talk about the issue of price fixing. So what exactly is price fixing? Price fixing is an agreement, and it can be either written, verbal, or inferred from conduct among competitors to raise, lower, maintain, or stabilize prices or price levels. Generally, antitrust laws require that each company establish prices and other competitive terms on its own without agreeing with a competitor. And this is very important because I'm going to be talking about this with regard to the anti-family law industry, otherwise known as the family destruction industry, the divorce lawyers, the entire apparatus that is designed to destroy families and plunder finances of individuals within our community, within our state, throughout the nation. This is what I'm going to be talking about. Price fixing among anti-family law attorneys, price fixing among those who seek to destroy our families. Antitrust laws require that each company establish prices and other competitive terms on its own without agreeing with a competitor. When purchasers make choices about what products and services to buy, they expect the price has been determined on the basis of supply and demand, not by an agreement among competitors. Once again, this is very important, and you'll see this in just a few moments. When competitors agree to restrict competition, the result is often higher prices. Price fixing is a major concern of government antitrust enforcement. And it should be. Price fixing is a major concern of government antitrust enforcement. Individuals and companies that knowingly enter price fixing agreements are routinely investigated by the FBI and other federal law enforcement agencies and can be, and I would add, and should be, criminally prosecuted. And I want to also put out a tip to the FBI and other federal law enforcement agencies that I think we have a gold mine here for you. If you want to investigate the anti-family law industry, the divorce attorneys, the family destruction industry, I believe that there is evidence of price fixing going on and that you can have a heyday and help out the people, the consumers at the same time. Potential penalties include lengthy terms of imprisonment, up to 10 years. That's pretty good. And large fines, up to $1 million for individuals, $100 million for companies, or twice the gain or loss from the offense. Where appropriate, the FTC, that's the Federal Trade Commission, may also bring a civil enforcement action. A naked agreement among competitors to fix prices is almost always illegal. Whether prices are specified at a minimum, maximum, or within some range, illegal price fixing occurs when two or more competitors agree to take actions to raise, lower, maintain, or stabilize the price of any product or service. Now, price fixing schemes are often worked out in secret and can be hard to uncover, but then again, we have the anti-family law attorneys who think that they are above the law, many of them do, and they have given us everything that we've needed to, I believe, actually have price fixing investigations launched into them. But an agreement can be discovered, a price fixing agreement can be discovered from circumstantial evidence. For example, if direct competitors have a pattern of unexplained identical contract terms or price behavior, together with other factors, such as the lack of legitimate, independent business explanation, unlawful price fixing may be the reason. Invitations to coordinate prices can also raise concerns, as when one competitor announces publicly that it is willing to end a price war or raise prices if its rivals are willing to do the same. Now, it goes on further, this whole article from the FTC, talking about what is not price fixing to. So, for example, not all price similarities or price changes that occur at the same time are the result of agreements among competitors. They can often result from normal market experiences. For example, suppose you're experiencing a drought and all of a sudden the price of wheat raises. Well, that's because that's a supply and demand issue. When there's a drought, there's less supply, the demand remains constant, and therefore the prices drive up. That is not considered price fixing. If a drought causes the supply of wheat to decline, the price paid to all affected farmers will likely increase. Price fixing relates not only to prices, but also to other terms that affect prices to purchasers, such as credit terms, shipping fees, warranties, discount programs, and financing rates. Now, this doesn't really apply to the anti-family law industry, though it may. There may be some roundabout way that it applies. But antitrust scrutiny may occur when competitors discuss the following topics, and that would be present and future prices or pricing policies. And there are other things as well. But again, I'm trying to keep this specific to the anti-family law industry, the divorce industry, the family destruction industry, the anti-family law attorneys, whom I believe are grossly guilty of price fixing. A defendant is allowed to argue that there was no agreement, but if the government or a private party proves a plain price fixing agreement, there is no defense to it. Defendants may not justify their behavior by arguing that, well, prices were reasonable to the purchasers. They were necessary to avoid cutthroat competition or stimulated competition. There's no excuse for price fixing. And they give some other examples, but again, it's not really specific to the anti-family law industry. But what I do have right here is a transcript from a case that took place recently. And this was in front of Judge James Arth. And Judge Arth, I believe, as a judge, you should have recognized immediately that price fixing was going on, that you should have commented on this, but you let it slide. And this was very interesting because this is the cross-examination of anti-family attorney, in my opinion, very corrupt Marshall Thompson. Marshall Thompson has decided that he's going to portray himself as being such a wonderful anti-family attorney. He's only there to help the people that he's representing. That's all he wants to do, but then he wants somebody else to pay for the bills so he can hike his prices back up and so that he can continue litigation even though no litigation was necessary. Anyway, so anti-family law attorney Marshall Thompson is now being questioned about his fees. And the first question is this: Mr. Thompson, you had mentioned earlier that these fees that you are charging are fair and equitable compared to the community. Compared to the community? Why should that matter? I mean, is he now consulting with the community to find out if the community is determining what fair and equitable means? Is that correct? And anti-family law attorney Marshall Thompson says yes. Thank you. And if I could ask you, how do you know that they are fair and equitable according to the community? Oh, well, Mr. Anti-Family Law Attorney Marshall Thompson probably does not realize he's being reeled in here, and he's about ready to cook his own goose. Well, I'll answer that question, but I realize it's not in evidence. Mr. Thompson, so before we testify about it, I guess I could offer Respondent's Exhibit 1. The court asked, is there any objection to Respondent Exhibit 1 being admitted? To which the attorney replied, I object. We did not have notice of this, Your Honor. Based on that, we had no notice or time to prepare. The court nevertheless admits the exhibit. And this is like the perfect trap. It's more than the perfect storm. This is the perfect trap. They've walked right into it. Anti-family Judge James Arth and anti-family law attorney Marshall Thompson, in my opinion, have walked right into this trap, not even realizing that they were being snookered into it. Okay, so in response to your question, this is anti-family law attorney Marshall Thompson speaking. So in response to your question, Mr. So-and-so, a colleague in the community conducts a poll. A poll. It almost sounds like a little bit of collusion is going on. It almost sounds like, well, listen, I'm going to talk with this person and that person, and we'll share our results among each other so that we can make sure all of our prices are fair and equitable. Because, of course, we would not be doing anything other than fair and equitable when it comes down to family destruction. Is that correct? But we conduct a poll wherein this person gets the rates of all the other... Wait, did he just say he gets the rates of all the other lawyers in town, and includes in that the number of years of experience, whether they are board certified, so on and so forth, and then that is periodically circulated so that we know what everyone else in the community is charging, and we make sure our rates are commensurate with that and are in keeping with the other similarly situated lawyers are charging, and that's how we set our rates. To me, this is what price fixing is all about. It appears to me, and I would think that Mr. Anti-Family Attorney Marshall Thompson should have to give us further defense as to why this was not considered price fixing. Remember, price fixing is an agreement, and it can be written, verbal, or inferred from conduct among competitors to raise, lower, maintain, or stabilize prices or price levels. Antitrust laws require that each company establish prices and other competitive terms on its own without agreeing with a competitor. Well, we're technically not agreeing, we're just finding out, grabbing a consensus among our colleagues, our highly ethical anti-family law attorney ethics personnel, our community. We go to the community and we do this survey so that we can find out what other similarly situated lawyers are charging, and that is how we set our rates. That is price fixing. Thank you, Mr. Thompson. So is it true what you're saying, that you kind of get a poll, and based on that poll among similar types of specialists, you kind of set a rate in the community? And Mr. Thompson, the anti-family law attorney, says, well, I'm not a specialist. I'm just a lawyer, but I do. Well, I mean family law, specializing in what you do, sir. You are talking about family law attorneys, anti-family law attorneys, divorce attorneys, family destruction attorneys. This is what you do, right? You kind of put out a poll, and based on the poll among similar types of anti-family law specialists, you kind of set a rate in the community. Isn't that what you do, anti-family law attorney Marshall Thompson? To which he answers, it is true that we consider all other family lawyers in town and what they're charging, in making sure that we don't overcharge or making sure that we're in the right spot. In other words, you are involved in price fixing, and that this is in violation of the antitrust laws, in my opinion. The purpose of antitrust laws is to help create better prices for the consumer, not to stabilize prices so that all of you anti-family attorneys can equally exploit people in your community. If there were true competition, the prices should be going down, not going up every year. Prices should not be stabilized to maintain a certain type of a price level. Now the question that comes after that is this. Dear Mr. Thompson, anti-family attorney Mr. Thompson, you are so educated, you are so ethical, you obviously know about this. So would that be considered similar to price fixing? No, not at all. Mr. Thompson, the anti-family law attorney, denies it's price fixing. Marshall Thompson, in my opinion, is either ignorant of the law, or he is lying and committing perjury right now, because he knows, I believe, that what they are doing fits the definition of price fixing. This is his testimony. And based on this alone, I believe that he is guilty of engaging in price fixing. Well, no. So the attorney asked, in your opinion? To which anti-family law attorney Marshall Thompson says, I think you asked for my, I'm just opinion, and asking for your opinion, I'm just asking for your opinion. No, it's not price fixing. Okay. So here we have anti-family law attorney Marshall Thompson on record rendering his opinion, which to me goes directly against what the Federal Trade Commission has put out regarding price fixing. Price fixing is an agreement, and it can be written, verbal, or inferred from conduct among competitors to raise, lower, maintain, or stabilize prices or price levels. A naked agreement among competitors to fix prices is almost always illegal, whether prices are specified at a minimum, a maximum, or within some range. Illegal price fixing occurs whenever two or more competitors, or maybe the entire community of anti-family law attorneys in Austin, the entire community gets together and agree to take actions to raise, lower, maintain, or stabilize the price of any product or service. Because you see, anti-family law attorney Marshall Thompson is not the first person who has confessed, admitted to price fixing, but denied it under oath in front of a judge, and a judge refused to correct him. Mr. Marshall, actually, it is price fixing. At least that's what it would appear to be. Because there was also another Austin anti-family attorney, Daryl Weinman, otherwise known as Daryl Winey. And when she got hit with this price fixing stuff, I believe she's still being investigated. Not 100% sure of this, but she realized, I believe, that she walked into it as well. So we now have two anti-family law attorneys in Austin talking about the same type of behavior. How do you set prices? Well, we send out surveys. We take polls. We get information. And then we decide where to put ourselves so that we're not too high. We're not raising the prices and pricing ourselves out. We're not too low. I mean, really, this too low stuff. This is not good for our business. We want money. We want money, and we don't want to undercharge, even though competition is good for the consumer. Among anti-family attorneys, forget about the consumer. They are there to exploit you and to destroy your families. Price fixing schemes are often worked out in secret and can be hard to uncover, but an agreement can be discovered from circumstantial evidence. I believe what we have here is more than circumstantial evidence. It is sworn testimony under oath by anti-family law attorney Marshall Thompson, and there's another case with anti-family law attorney Daryl Weinman, in which they talk about sending out these surveys, looking to see what other people are charging, making sure that they're within a range, not too high, not too low. Kind of like the Three Little Bears. It's not too hard, it's not too soft, but it's just right. That's what they want to do. This is price fixing. Antitrust scrutiny may occur when competitors discuss the following topics: present or future prices and pricing policies. A defendant is allowed to argue that there was no agreement, but if the government or a private party proves a plain price-fixing agreement, there is no defense to it. No defense to it. And what I also am concerned about is this. These judges know that this is price fixing, but they don't want to say anything about it because they are attorneys first, judges second. They may lose an election and go back and be an attorney. They do not want to rail against an industry that they may have to go back and make their living from later on. They want to be able to price fix as well. I think that the judges are in collusion with this whole thing. Defendants may not justify their behavior by arguing that the prices were reasonable to purchasers, were necessary to avoid cutthroat competition or stimulated competition. Anti-family law attorney Marshall Thompson, I want to thank you because your testimony was very plain that you were engaged in price fixing, at least in my opinion. And anti-family law attorney Daryl Weinman, otherwise known as Daryl Winey, I want to thank you too, because now we have the witness of two attorneys down there. And there are others that I could put out as well, but at least for right now, we have two anti-family attorneys from the Austin area. Attorney Daryl Weinman, who I believe is already under investigation, I'm not positive, and anti-family law attorney Marshall Thompson, whom I believe is a corrupt, price-fixing, anti-family, destruction attorney, that seeks to prolong litigation, that seeks to create conflict to line his own pockets. And anti-family law attorney Marshall Thompson, had you not been doing some of this stuff to one of my friends, perhaps this would have continued, but we've got your number. We've got your number, and we will be filing complaints. And not just here at the local area. I intend to take this up to the Federal Trade Commission and bust up this whole anti-family law industry that has been destroying families and plundering them financially. Prices should be going down, not up. The fact that they're going up, that in itself, to me, signifies that there's price fixing. And when we have your agreements, your pools, you're making sure that you're charging not too much, not too little, but just the right amount, that also is another indication of price fixing. So once again, I am very glad, anti-family law attorney Marshall Thompson, that you've done this. I want to thank you. And for anybody who is interested in the anti-family law industry and some of the corrupt practices that they're involved in, I would invite you to join us in filing a complaint against these attorneys. I will probably do one later and then post online what I've done so that you can follow along if you would like to do it. I also have another friend who's done a complaint, I believe, with the state here against Daryl Weinman. And we just need to be hitting these people up. They have been destroying our families. They're lying attorneys, many of them, not all of them. There may be a few that are good. I think I can count them on one hand, maybe two, I don't know. But anyway, there are a few, not that many, but we must take down this corrupt industry. We must make them pay for the damage that they have done. And I also believe that they should be making some compensation back to the victims that they have been victimizing and lying to about their fees and price fixing with other people. Anyway, that's it for right now. Once again, my name's Jeff Morgan. I'm from Dallas, Texas. I invite your feedback on this, and I hope that you also will consider filing complaints against anti-family law attorney Marshall Thompson. His bar number will be present, and we will be working on this shortly. Thank you so much, and have a great weekend. God bless you all.